The arena was silent, save for the slow, deliberate steps of the alien girl. She moved like a phantom, her violet eyes glowing softly in the dim light. The warriors who had dared to face her before lay in heaps of dust, their weapons clattering to the ground, untouched by time but abandoned by those who had once held them. She was the daughter of the Zalari High Matron, a being of immense power. The gift, or curse, she bore was absolute. Any living creature that made contact with her flesh crumbled instantly into dust. A biological defense, the Zalari called it. A divine punishment, the superstitious whispered. Regardless of the explanation, the truth remained, she was untouchable. And now, she faced the last warrior. A human. The gathered crowd, composed of various alien species, murmured among themselves. The humans had become infamous in the galaxy, not for their size, not for their technology, but for their ability to defy all odds. And yet, this challenge was beyond foolish. This was not a test of strength. It was not a battle of tactics. This was an execution. The human, known only as Elias, stood his ground. His body was covered in scars, evidence of battles hard fought and victories barely earned. He did not wield a plasma sword, nor did he rely on an energy shield. His only weapon was his resolve. The alien girl tilted her head, curiosity flickering behind those luminous eyes. "You do not tremble," she said, her voice melodic yet hollow. "You do not run." "I've seen worse," Elias replied. His voice was calm, unshaken. She took another step forward. He did not move. Every other opponent had flinched, had begged, had hesitated. Not him. He simply raised a hand, empty, unarmed. The crowd gasped as he reached forward. The girl's expression changed. No one had dared before. No one had been foolish enough. She prepared for the inevitable, the moment when his flesh would turn to dust, when his bones would collapse into nothing. And then. His fingers brushed against hers. The air crackled with energy. The violet hue in her eyes flickered wildly. The moment stretched impossibly long, as if the universe itself held its breath. But he did not turn to dust. Her breath hitched. She could feel his warmth, his pulse, the calluses on his fingertips. It was impossible. Her mother had told her since childhood that her gift was absolute. That no creature, no being, no force in existence could touch her without perishing. Yet here he was. Elias gently closed his fingers around her hand, grounding her in a reality she had never known. "See," he said softly. "You're not a monster." Her lips parted, a strange sensation blooming in her chest. A warmth unfamiliar and terrifying all at once. No one had ever touched her. No one had ever dared. And yet, here he was, standing before her as if the rules of the universe had been rewritten in that moment. "How?" she whispered. Elias grinned. "I don't know. Maybe humans are just built different." The silence in the arena was deafening. The Zalari High Matron herself stood in stunned disbelief, her regal composure slipping for the first time in centuries. The council members muttered among themselves. This changed everything. The girl's fingers tightened around his. She wasn't sure what this meant, what she was, what he was, but for the first time in her life, she didn't feel alone. For the first time, she wasn't untouchable. She was simply held. And she never wanted to let go.